let's first jump in around protein intake. Protein requirements for ultra endurance athletes. I think for the typical, the general ultra runner, these recommendations are likely higher than they're probably used to, or that they would assume so. Can you outline the recommended protein intake and give us some background as to why it's so important for ultra runners?
Well, I think the first thing to just note is that when we talk about ultra running, we're talking about distances that are typically longer than a marathon. So for most single stage ultras, you're talking anywhere from 6 hours onwards would kind of get into the zone of ultra distance. And of course, if you start talking about single stage at the higher end, you could be talking 24 hours. If you're talking multi-days, you could be talking 48 hours plus. So
It's bonkers.
the type of training that goes into that will be considered quite high volume and quite long distance compared to maybe half marathon or marathon distance training. And as a result, the demands on the body are going to be more sustained. So when we looked at the literature, I mean, the problem with a lot of the material we read is that often contemporary research gives very broad guidelines, sort of 1.2 to 2.1 grams of protein per kilogram body mass per day. And so when we tried to look a bit further, it seemed that nitrogen balance, or rather this ability to maintain a degree of positive balance, seems to lie somewhere around the 1.6 grams per kilo per day. Now, if you then add in other factors, not just muscle synthesis, but other factors associated with protein demands and also calorific requirements, the approximate estimate would be somewhere between 1.6 and even as high as 2.5 grams per kilo per day. So I think protein's not necessarily underestimated, but I think it's very important.